If your course ideas are scattered between Google Docs and sticky notes and maybe even the back of a Target receipt, you are not alone. The biggest mistake I see people make is diving straight into a course platform before their content's even organized. That's where the overwhelm happens and why so many courses stall out before they even launch. Today I'm showing you the exact system I use to organize course content so building your course feels easy instead of chaotic. Hi, I'm Delana, and I help solopreneurs who are working a 9-to-5 build their online business by supporting them with digital templates and tools and trainings so they can focus on getting their message out into the world. So this is the same process that I use for my clients when I build courses for them, whether it's a tiny 3-module mini course or a full 12-module signature program. This works no matter what you're creating. The best part is setting this up can take less than an hour, but it will save you so much time when you actually start to build inside of your platform. Regardless of whatever platform it is, this works for everything. And I want to tell you this from experience as a tech person who likes the different platforms. I always want to go in and organize it in the platform first because that's where I really like to play. But anytime I've tried to do that without having a structure already laid out for my content, I just end up wasting a lot of time because I build it in the platform the way that I think it's going to work. But once I have the content kind of organized and ready to go in there, I realize that what I actually laid out in the platform doesn't match, doesn't work the way that I thought it would, and I end up having to redo it. So it's better to just go ahead and have your content already planned out and then put it in the platform. That way you can build the platform around your content and not the other way around. First, I want to talk about why structure matters. It keeps you from being distracted by design and all of the shiny object syndrome that the different platforms can bring about in us. And what I mean by this is kind of like what I mentioned just a minute ago, is if you already know the structure of your course, then it's pretty easy to go into your platform and recreate that structure, all the modules, where to put everything without getting too distracted. If you're going into the module or if you're going into your course platform first and trying to plan and organize everything before you really even have it organized, like the content, or have it created, then you're going to start playing with all the things and putting everything in there and then realize that you don't need half of it. You're going to take it out. You've got to restructure it because it doesn't actually work the way that your content ended up being created or whatever. Because let's be real, you can have the best plan and it doesn't always like come to fruition exactly like the plan. So it's better if you have your structure kind of mapped out, like an outline of your course, and then go into your course platform and start mapping it out over there. And by structure, what I really mean is an outline. You want to know, generally speaking, because again, this can kind of change a little bit as you start creating content and you think of other things that, oh, maybe this topic should be its own module, and you add something else, you add another module for that topic, whatever. So, but basically what I'm talking about is a simple outline of your course. It can be in a Google Doc. In fact, that's what I recommend. That lists all the modules that you have planned and then all the lessons in that module. And obviously you want this to be like a flow from a start to finish of the outcome that you want your students, your customers, your clients to have as they go through your program. This also makes it easier for you to see if your course has any gaps in it. And basically what I mean by that is just, is there a topic or is there a piece of this puzzle? Is there a piece that your students need to complete this transformation that you missed? And you want to make sure you have that in there, and it's easier to do that in the beginning in your outline, in your structure format of your course, before you start putting it into a platform and having everything all connected and all of these things. So next, I want you to have a folder system on Google Drive that starts organizing your content by module. Let's take a quick peek at what that will look like. Here we are in a demo folder, a folder I made to show you exactly what I mean when I talk about organizing your course content in a way that lets you easily add it into your course platform. So I'm in my business Google Drive folder, which if you want more info on how I organize everything else, I can link that video for you. But for now, I'm just going to show you how I do courses. So inside of a folder called courses, I create a folder for the specific course that I'm working on. So I called it, you would just put course name here. The 01 on this folder, I'd say, is probably optional because you'll have different courses in here as you create more. and they don't necessarily need to be in any specific order unless you want to know what order you created them in. But let's go ahead and take a look at the inside of this one. So inside of your main course folder, you're gonna have the module folders here. So you would have as many module folders as you have modules for your course. So you would just make as many of these. I only did 2 for this sample, but you would make as many of those as you needed. Now inside the module folder, you'll have your lessons. So what I would actually do here, and I didn't do it when I was setting this up, is I would just have a folder called lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, however many lessons are in this section. And put all of the files for that lesson in a folder. So then do lesson 2. And we'll go ahead and drop this in here. And that way for each lesson, if you have more than one asset for that lesson, so let's say you have a workbook and a video and maybe some slides or maybe a template or something like that, you can have them all in here. Now, this is where the naming convention becomes very important because you want to make sure that everything is labeled for where it needs to go in your course. So I actually put some notes in here. So this is how I would label everything. So for the folder that we are currently looking at, it's going to be module 1, lesson 1, and then what it is. Is it the script? That might be a doc. So we'll put module 1, lesson 1 script, and then the video, and then the workbook, and then slides, and then if anything else, if you have anything else, you would want to label it like that. So then you don't necessarily need the file extensions, but that way you know what file it is. So then for the module 2, you would do module 2, lesson 1, hello, script, and then module 2, lesson 2, not lesson 2. Well, it could be lesson 2, but let's do lesson 1, video, and so forth. And then you would do lesson 2, and then lesson 3, or however many lessons you have per each thing. But this kind of naming convention or something that works for you that's similar to this will help make sure that you keep everything straight as you are adding it into your course platform. So then we've got bonuses. So this is pretty, oh, I forgot to tell you, there is also, I also put a resources in here. So this could be for something that maybe is specific to the module, but not necessarily to a lesson. Maybe it's some extra third-party resources you want to share, or just anything like that. Even if it's just like, maybe it's a quiz for completing the lesson and you just want to keep the notes for it inside of the folder, you could put anything like that in this resources folder. Then we've got a bonuses module. So this is pretty much set up the same way, but it's just going to include any bonuses that you promised with your course as you were selling it. So maybe it's a resource library, maybe it's a Q&A. This would be a video, not a doc, but you get the idea. And then templates, if you are sharing any templates with your course, anything like that, you could put those in here as well. Maybe you put the actual template in here, or maybe it's a doc with links to templates. For example, if you've got a ClickUp template that you share, you create it in your ClickUp account, you have to share a link for people to add it to their own ClickUp account. So maybe you have a list of link templates, something like that. You can have all of that documented in here as well. Any student resources. So this is sort of, I like to think of this as the like intro module, kind of like they're going to look at this stuff before they get into everything else. So this could be like a welcome guide, course outline, a fact sheet, anything like that, anything else that you can think of that you might want to put in here. How to contact you, how to contact if there's any questions about the program or anything like that. Maybe if there's a community, how do they access the community? All of that kind of info would be in the intro module or student resources. And then I have a drafts folder. So this one is just for, as you're creating the documents and things, for you to put the drafts in while you're working on them so that they don't get mixed up with final copies. While you're working on them, I would name them the same as if they are going to go into these folders. And then once they are actually finalized, move them out of the drafts folder and into the final product folder. That way there's no chance of them getting mixed up and accidentally added in when they're not complete. And then finally, I have a folder down here for marketing assets. So this is going to be promo graphics that you create for the course for like Instagram or wherever that you're promoting it, a thumbnail for the course. It could also include any other graphics for your course based on your platform. Like maybe you need to have module graphics or lesson graphics or something like that, then you could put those in here as well just to save them. And then if you're going to do any kind of course trailer or ads video for your program, or maybe something for the sales page or for the checkout page or whatever, then you could put that in here as well. So that's pretty much it. It's really straightforward. Obviously, the bigger your course, the more info is going to be in here, but this is the basic structure that I like to follow when I'm organizing content for a course, because as I mentioned earlier in the video, it's much easier to just upload this stuff as you go through your course platform than it is to try and organize your course platform as you're creating content, because you don't really know for sure how it's all going to end up. So if you already have everything in here laid out the way that it needs to go into the course platform, it makes actually building out the sellable course much easier. And while you're planning all of this out, I also really want you to focus on naming conventions, because I know we all love to have like a really cute names for our courses and our modules and all of the things. But when you create a naming convention that's super specific to you and the way that you think, it does make it more difficult for other people, like your students, to follow that naming convention. Now, maybe you have a system that's very exclusive to you that you have kind of primed your students with over the years, like with your other content and that kind of thing. That might be okay. Okay, I'm not going to say that you absolutely cannot name your things fun. Like, they can be fun. But I am saying, keep in mind that you want things to be easily findable. Like if they, your course platform probably has a search function, and you want, if somebody's looking for a particular lesson and they don't know what module it is in or whatever, then you want them to be able to just type it in and find it easily. So I just want to make sure that you're using clear, simple names that makes it easier for you and for your students later on. I also strongly recommend, while you're working inside of Google Drive and getting your content all together, that while you're naming your lessons, you number them, you start the name with 01, 02, 03, etc., and then the name of the lesson. That way you'll know exactly what order they need to go in when you go to load them into your course platform. And all of this might seem very basic, and that's fair. It probably is. But what I want you to take away from this is really just how much easier it's going to be for you to load all of this content into your course platform once you're ready to go. Because like I said, if you start just trying to jump in and adding things to your course platform, just not fully knowing what all is going to go into your course, trust me, that is just going to make everything 10 times worse. And I can guarantee you that there's a very good chance that it doesn't get finished. Okay, I hate to drop a truth bomb like that, but it happens. Now, if you're listening to this and thinking, I wish somebody would just take my content and make the course for me, that's literally what I do in my Chaos to Course VIP service. You bring the content, I bring the tech, and you walk away with a course that is ready to launch. But even if you decide to DIY this, organizing your content this way is going to make it so much smoother. Now that your content's neatly organized, the next question is, which platform should you actually use? Because choosing the wrong one for you can waste a ton of time if it's not one that you find user-friendly, if it doesn't have the features that you need. So you want to make sure that you pick the one that is best for you. And that's exactly what I'm talking about in my next video. So I'm going to go ahead and link it right here so you can go ahead and watch it, and I will see you over there. Bye.